Tokyo Bay, June 1944. The war room hums with the sound of oscillating fans and rustling paper. Cigarette smoke curls beneath the ceiling as officers of the Imperial Japanese Navy study a set of grainy reconnaissance photos, the first images of America's new bomber. On the table before them lies a print labeled B-29 Superfortress. It's unlike anything they've seen. Massive wingspan, 4 enormous engines, a pressurized fuselage. A young lieutenant runs his finger along the image. 30 tons empty weight, he mutters. Range of over 3,000 miles. They say it can fly higher than our Zero can reach. Across the table, Admiral Shigeru Fukudome chuckles softly. Nonsense. The heavier they make it, the slower it becomes. If it ever comes near Japan, our fighters will tear it apart before it reaches the coast. The officers laugh, the confident laughter of men who believe the Pacific is still their empire. But thousands of miles away, on the island of Saipan, American engineers and airmen are proving them wrong. The afternoon sun blazes on the concrete runway of Isley Field as ground crews swarm around silver giants, the Boeing B-29 Superfortresses of the 73rd Bombardment Wing. Their engines rumble like distant thunder. Sweat drips down the necks of mechanics as they tighten bolts, refuel tanks, and load bombs into yawning bays. Captain Robert Tex Johnson wipes his goggles, glancing up at his plane. The lucky lady. She's polished aluminum, her fuselage reflecting the tropical sun like a mirror. Beside the nose art, someone's painted a pin-up girl holding a torch. Beneath her, a motto, "To Tokyo, with love." Tex checks his clipboard. Each B-29 carries 6 tons of bombs, set for a test run over the industrial city of Yawata on Kyushu. The mission: cripple Japan's steel production. It will be the first time an American bomber strikes the Japanese home islands since the Doolittle raid of 1942. As the engines roar to life, the pilots exchange nervous glances. It's nearly 1,500 miles to target and back, at the edge of their fuel capacity. There will be no fighter escorts. "Tower to all aircraft," the radio crackles. "Godspeed, boys. Let's show them what we've built." The formation lifts off, each aircraft straining under its load. Within hours, the island disappears beneath the horizon, replaced by the endless shimmer of the Pacific. The B-29S climbed to 30,000 feet, above clouds and weather, above the reach of most Japanese fighters. From here, the Earth looks peaceful, a pale blue curve stretching into infinity. Tex adjusts his oxygen mask. "How's it look down there?" he asks his bombardier. "Clear as a bell, Captain. Target should be ahead in 20. Below them, Japanese radar operators scramble as the blips appear on their screens. Fast, high, and steady. "American bombers inbound," they shout. Anti-aircraft batteries roar to life, but their shells burst thousands of feet too low. By the time fighters scramble from the airfields, the B-29 Ace are already dropping their payloads. The bombs tumble in slow, graceful arcs before blooming into pillars of smoke and flame. The raid lasts only minutes. The damage is modest. Yawata burns, but not completely. Yet to the men in Tokyo, the message is unmistakable. America can strike anywhere. In the Imperial Navy's war room, the same admirals who once laughed now stare at the reports in silence. One murmurs, "How can they fly that high?" But they still believe it's a fluke, a novelty, not a threat. They don't yet realize that the B-29 is not just another bomber. It is a machine built for annihilation, and soon it will turn the night sky over Tokyo into hell itself. Saipan, March 9th, 1945. 1,800 hours. The briefing room is packed shoulder to shoulder with airmen, their faces lit by the flicker of a projector. A map of Tokyo covers the wall. Circles drawn in red grease pencil mark the city's most vulnerable districts: Shitamachi, Honjo, Fukagawa. At the front of the room stands Major General Curtis LeMay, commander of the Yinbawa Bomber Command. His jaw is square, his voice clipped and cold. "Gentlemen," he begins, "we've been wasting time trying to hit factories one bomb at a time. Japan's war effort runs on its cities. its workers, its morale, its will. He pauses, letting the silence tighten. Tonight, we're gonna burn that will to the ground. The men shift uneasily. LeMay continues. We'll drop the high-altitude nonsense, strip the bombers of their guns, lose the armor. You'll fly at 5,000 feet, say, under the radar. Each plane carries incendiaries, not explosives, napalm and magnesium clusters. He taps the map. Tokyo is built of paper and wood. Gentlemen, it will burn like kindling. A murmur ripples through the room. One pilot whispers, at that altitude we'll be sitting ducks. LeMay doesn't flinch. You'll be home before they know what hit them. He's right and wrong. 23:30 hours. The B-29s rise from the runways of Guam and Saipan one after another, their engines droning into the humid night. 334 aircraft, the largest formation of bombers yet assembled in the Pacific. Each one is packed with M69 incendiary clusters designed to ignite over wide areas. Captain Tex Johnson's Lucky Lady takes her place in formation. The glow of exhaust flames stretches in a long, serpentine line across the sky. Feels different tonight, his co-pilot mutters. Yeah, Tex says quietly. Feels final. Hours later, Japan's coast comes into view. The city below is sleeping, unaware of what's coming. Tokyo, March 10th, 1945. 0045 hours. The first wave arrives low and silent. From the darkness, silver shapes pass overhead, dropping small canisters that spin as they fall. For a heartbeat, there is only the sound of wind, then ignition. The city explodes in light. Thousands of tiny fires bloom at once, merging into rivers of flame that crawl through the narrow alleys and wooden homes. Roofs collapse. Gas lines burst. The air itself becomes a weapon. In minutes, the firestorm takes hold. Wind gusts reach hurricane strength, sucking oxygen from the streets. Civilians flee toward the Sumida River, only to find it boiling with heat. Mothers clutch children wrapped in wet cloth, eyes wide with terror. The sky glows red, not from dawn, but from combustion. From above, the air crews watch in stunned silence. Even through the cockpit glass, they can feel the heat. Tex lowers his goggles and whispers, "Dear God." The radio crackles. "This is command. Secondary targets are burning. Pull out and regroup westward." But it's already too late for Tokyo. The fire has become self-sustaining, an inferno feeding on oxygen and human breath. By dawn, 16 square miles of the city are gone. More than 100,000 people are dead. Burned, asphyxiated, or drowned. It is the single most destructive air raid in human history. As the bombers return to base, the smell of smoke clings to their uniforms. No one speaks. Tex writes one line in his flight log, "Target destroyed, God forgive us." Back in Tokyo, Admiral Fukudome stands on his balcony, watching the rising column of smoke. His face is grey in the morning light. So this is the Superfortress. Tokyo, March 11th, 1945. The sun rises over a city that no longer exists. From the air, Tokyo is a blackened labyrinth of ash, the faint grid of streets barely visible beneath the smoke. Rail lines twist like melted wire. Tens of thousands of bodies lie where the firestorm trapped them, huddled at intersections, in canals, and along the Sumida River. American reconnaissance planes circle overhead, cameras whirring. One pilot radios, his voice hollow. "It's gone. All of it." The images return to Guam by nightfall. General LeMay studies them in silence, cigarette smoke curling around his face. "It worked," he says finally. Then, almost to himself, "Now we finish the rest." To his superiors in Washington, LeMay reports the mission as a success of unprecedented magnitude. But among the men who flew it, there's no celebration, only disbelief. Crewmen who survived flak and Zero attacks now lie awake at night hearing the echo of flames. Captain Tex Johnson writes home to his wife, "We bombed Tokyo last week. They say it will shorten the war. I hope so. Because if there's a hell, it's down there." Over the next weeks, the B-29s return again and again. Osaka, Nagoya, Kobe. Night after night, the same low-altitude raids, the same waves of fire. In Osaka, the wind carries embers across the Yodo River, igniting entire factory districts. In Kobe, the docks vanish beneath a carpet of flame. Japanese firefighters, armed with buckets and bamboo ladders, are powerless against the hurricane of heat. The civilians dig trenches, wrap themselves in wet rags and pray. But the B-29s come in endless succession, 300, 400, sometimes 500 at a time. By April, 67 cities lie in ruins. At Imperial General Headquarters, the mood has shifted from pride to dread. Admiral Soemu Toyoda, head of the combined fleet, slams his fist against the table. "We still have ships. We still have pilots," he insists. "We can strike back." A younger officer replies softly, "Strike with what, sir? The cities are gone. The factories are gone. The fuel is gone." Toyoda looks at him, speechless. For years, Japan's naval strategy had been built on courage, the idea that spirit could overcome steel. But the B-29 has proved otherwise. In Tokyo's ruins, engineers walk through to the debris of the Nakajima aircraft plant, once the heart of Japan's aviation industry. The main assembly hall is a skeleton of girders. Charred propellers lie half buried in the soot. A Japanese technician kneels beside a melted engine casing. "Even the machines are dead," he murmurs. Meanwhile, on Guam, the airmen of the 73rd Bomb Wing receive new orders. The next phase begins. Precision strikes by day, area bombing by night. The Superfortress fleet has grown to more than 1,000 aircraft. In one hangar, mechanics repaint the nose art of the Lucky Lady, now adorned with the tally marks of every raid. Tex Johnson watches quietly. The ground crew chief pats the fuselage. "She's seen more fire than the devil himself," he says. Tex nods. "And we're going back." Each mission becomes routine. Fuel, climb, drop, return. But beneath the routine lies exhaustion. Pilots smoke in silence before takeoff. Gunners stop joking. The war is being won from the sky, but at the cost of every man's sleep. One night, as Tex stands on the airfield watching another formation disappear into the stars, he mutters, "We're not bombing cities anymore, we're erasing them." By summer, Japan's defenses are collapsing. Its airfields are craters. Its navy lies rusting beneath the waves. And yet, there's no surrender. LeMay's staff begins discussing something even more terrible. A final strike, meant to break the Empire's will completely. The words "new weapon" appear in coded telegrams. Few understand what it means. The B-29s have already turned Japan's nights to fire. But soon, one mission will turn day itself into light. Tinian Island. August 5th, 1945. The tropical air hangs heavy with humidity and secrecy. Ground crews move quietly around a single B-29 parked at the edge of North Field, its silver skin glinting faintly under floodlights. On its nose is a name freshly painted in white cursive letters, Enola Gay. Inside a nearby tent, Colonel Paul Tibbets stands over a table, the weight of history pressing down on his shoulders. Before him lies a small wooden crate surrounded by armed guards. Inside, a weapon unlike anything the world has ever seen. A scientist from the Manhattan Project adjusts his glasses and says quietly, "The bomb is armed with a uranium core. Yield estimate equivalent to 20,000 tons of TNT." Tibbets nods once. "Enough to end the war." At dawn, the Enola Gay roars to life, lifting into the sky toward Japan. Tibbets' crew is calm but solemn, each man acutely aware that this mission is unlike any they've flown before. From their altitude, over 30,000 feet, the Pacific stretches beneath them like an endless mirror. As they approach Honshu, the clouds part. Below lies the city of Hiroshima, serene, unaware, still whole. At 8:15 a.m., the bombardier calls out, "Bomb bay doors open!" Tibbets steadies his voice. "Release!" The bomb, codenamed Little Boy, falls silently for 43 seconds. Then, in a single blinding instant, daylight itself explodes. A flash brighter than the sun engulfs the city. A shockwave tears outward at the speed of sound. Hiroshima ceases to exist. Tens of thousands vanish instantly, their shadows burned into walls. The B-29 jolts upward as the blast wave catches it. "Jesus," one crewman whispers, eyes wide, "what have we done?" 2 days later, a second B-29, Boxcar, commanded by Major Charles Sweeney, flies toward Nagasaki with a plutonium bomb called Fat Man. At 11:02 a.m., another sun is born. Mushroom clouds rise over Japan, silent monuments to humanity's darkest invention. The air crews, trained to precision, can only watch as the world beneath them ends. In Tokyo, Emperor Hirohito convenes his ministers. The war, they know, is over. The combined firebombings, the destruction of cities, the loss of fleets, and now these new atomic weapons, all have reduced Japan to ruin. On August 15th, Hirohito's voice is broadcast to the nation. The first time the Japanese people have ever heard their emperor speak. He says softly, "The war situation has developed not necessarily to Japan's advantage. We must endure the unendurable." The voice trembles, but it carries across the ashes of a fallen empire. Guam, August 1945. General Curtis LeMay receives the surrender reports with a mixture of relief and unease. He has burned 57 cities and ordered raids that killed nearly 500,000 people. He knows victory has come, but not peace. In a dim hangar, Tex Johnson and his crew sit on empty fuel drums, staring at the ground. None of them cheer. The war that began with Pearl Harbor has ended with fire from the sky. Tex finally breaks the silence. "Guess we don't fly anymore," he says softly. His co-pilot looks up. "No, Tex, not after this." Outside, the Pacific waves lap gently at the shore. The same ocean that once carried fleets and submarines, now quiet at last. Tokyo Bay, September 2nd, 1945. Aboard the USS Missouri, Japanese delegates sign the instrument of surrender as American cameras click. Sunlight glints off the pens, the medals, the faces of men who have seen too much. In the distance, formations of B-29s fly overhead, silent symbols of the Empire's final defeat. The Superfortress that the Admirals once mocked now dominates the sky. A weapon that reshaped warfare and, in doing so, revealed its cost. As the American flag rises over Tokyo, an officer remarks quietly to another, "We've built machines that can reach the stars, but I wonder if we'll ever find our way back." The other man nods, eyes on the sky. "Let's hope we don't need to." The camera pans upward. Clouds drift across the sun, their edges glowing white against the deep grey horizon. The world will never be the same.